What's up everyone, it's your girl Deja and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I do DIY videos, lifestyle, and college content. So if you're interested in that, make sure you hit the sub button below. But in today's video, I'll be doing a DIY of an anime glass painting. And I think it turned out wonderful and it's actually easier than you guys probably will think. So if you guys want to find out how to create it, just stay tuned to the video. And also I may end up doing a giveaway of a glass painting. So if you're interested in that, comment down below if I should do it or not and subscribe to my channel. But without further ado, let's get into the video. For the materials, you will need a picture frame that is 11 by 14 that I got from the Dollar Tree, paint pens that I got from Michael's, paint brushes, black paint, orange paint, tan paint, white paint. You will also need tape and your reference picture. In order to get your reference picture, just copy an outline from Google. So that's what I did right there. And then I opened up a Word document and then I just pasted the image into the Word document. And since we're into Word, we're going to make a few changes. So first, I'm going to go to layout and there I'm going to change my margins. I'm going to change it to narrow so the picture can actually fit the whole page. And I'm also going to change the top so we can have some more space. So it was originally 0.5 and I'm changing it to 0.2 and then I'm just pressing OK. Next, I'm going to picture format and changing the height and the width. So for my height, I decided to do 10.75. And I also made sure to uncheck the box because they will try to, make your height and your width for you. But if you uncheck it, you can type in your own ones. So for the width, I did 7.39. And then there we go. As you can see, the picture is pretty much on the whole page. And you also want to flip your picture because that's the main thing. You want to make sure that you flip it because later on in the video, you'll see why. And there, I'm just going to go to print. And then I'm just going to make a few changes because I had 3 pages for some reason. So I did from 2 to 2. And then there, I'll just print it. Okay, so the first step is I'm taking my picture frame and I'm just taking off the plastic. And like I said, I got my picture frame from the Dollar Tree, so it was only $1, which is very cheap. And now I'm just removing the backing from the picture. And for the backing, I'm just making sure I'm taking my time because you don't want to break it. It is from the Dollar Tree, so it's not the best of quality. So I'm just making sure I'm taking my time with that. The video sped up, but in real life, I was taking my time with this. Now that I have the frame removed, I'm saving that for later. And now we have the glass that we'll be using. So as you can see, I have my reference picture and I'm going to try to, position it in a way that it looks centered. And I'm just going to grab my tape and tape the picture down. You want to make sure that you use enough so when you do trace it, the picture isn't moving too much. And the tape, you can get it from anywhere. You can get it from the Dollar Tree, Walmart, whatever place. Most people have it in their house. So just get any type of tape you have and use that. And now I'm going to flip it over. So now this is the first main step. We're just tracing it. So this is pretty easy. Everything that is black, I'm tracing it over with the paint pen. And you want to make sure that you get an actual paint pen because if you use a Sharpie, it will smear. Trust me, I've heard other people talk about it and it didn't end too well for them. So I'm just making sure I'm taking my time with this and going over all of the lines. And you want to make sure that you press pretty hard so it does show up on the other side. So that's what I'm doing right now. And here is the outline all finished and it looks pretty good. It's not too hard to trace it, just make sure that you take your time with it. Next, the painting, the main part. So I'm starting off with the hair, and I'm using black acrylic paint. All the paint I use is acrylic. And for when you're painting, you're not just doing a regular, brush stroke. You're actually kind of layering the paint and kind of like stacking it, because since it is glass and not a canvas, you don't want it to have little see-through areas. So you have to really make sure that you cover all of the areas. So I'm really just trying to stack the paint on top of each other. And with this, you have to use a lot of paint. So make sure with whatever paint you're using, you have enough of it, because it definitely takes more than just a regular painting. And here you can see like the paint is really stacked. So I tried my best to do that. And now I'm going in with my orange. And with the orange, since it was a lighter color, it was definitely harder to do. I had to really make sure I used a lot of it, because black is a dark color, so it's just easier. So with the orange, if you have lighter colors, you're definitely going to have to make sure that you use enough of it. And also, don't be afraid to go over the lines. At first, I was like, can I go over the lines? But since we did the outline first, you can definitely go over the lines. And now I am doing his belt with the same technique I've been doing. I'm just going over it. And make sure that you try to stay inside the lines, because you don't want like the paint to mix into the other areas. And as you can also see, I decided to use a smaller paintbrush, and this is very important. When you have smaller areas, you want to find a brush size that fits that area, because you don't want to mess up trying to use a bigger brush. And if you do mess up, you can definitely fix it by either, just kind of using your fingernail and like scraping the paint off. You can also wet a napkin with either alcohol or water and remove it. So that's a good thing about glass. If you do mess up, you are able to fix it, especially when you're just doing the outline. You can definitely fix it. And here I decided to take off the paper, because I want to see how it was going. As you can see, there are some see-through spots, so I definitely have to go back in and fix that. And I decided to put the white paper back down, just because sometimes it's easier to see with a white paper behind it. But now I am doing his skin, and I'm using this tan color. I think it's called peach, but I just chose a color that matched his skin. Michael's, they didn't really have a lot of paint when I went, so I had to find a color that was the closest to it. But now I am doing his eyes with my white acrylic paint. And now I am doing his shoes. For his shoes, it definitely was harder just because it is a smaller area. So I had to really make sure I took my time with it. And I did end up, I think I messed up a little. So I did like use my finger to kind of like scrape off the little extra paint that got outside of the lines. But just take your time when it comes to the smaller areas. And when I use my blue, I love using the blue color, because since it was darker, it was definitely easier to layer it onto the glass. And now I'm just going back in, touching some areas up. I ended up doing that with all the colors because some spots were see-through. So just flip it over and look at it and see what you have to touch up, which is what I did. And now this is the next day, it's all dried. And when you flip it over, I have this amazing anime glass painting. And I personally like to frame it just because I can actually hang up a frame. So this is one way you can hang it up. You can put it back in the frame and just find a way to hang it up. But you definitely don't have to frame it if you don't want to. But I definitely think it adds a nice look to the painting. So now I'm just putting it into the frame and I'm going to snap it in. And here's the finished product. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.